Hello everyone, Acid Lemonade Cosplay here. Have you ever had this feeling of, okay, I really should only make projects using fabric that I already have. So I'm not going to buy any new fabric and I'm just going to use anything that I already have at home. But then... So I found this amazing cotton fabric online and I immediately bought 1.5 meters of it in order to make into a shirt. So in this video you will see me making this shirt, but also I wanted to give myself a little bit of a challenge. I will use as much of this fabric as possible in order to make other projects such as a face mask, a key hanger, a scrunchie, stuff like that. So let's go! So I just finished cutting out all of the pieces for the shirt. So this is the entire back piece, these are the two front pieces, these are all the collar bits, this one is the little pocket piece, and then here we have the sleeve. For the pattern for this shirt I'm using the exact same as in the Cars shirt that I will link up above, and it's the Burda Style 6931. So I was just working on the two front panels of this shirt and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a tip. So normally when you buy fabrics, they always come with this strip that's not printed and just has like copyright or text on it. And what you normally do when you cut out your pieces, you just cut this thing off and then this piece just gets thrown away. However, you can also preserve that edge and add it to your pieces where it's not seen. For example, here you have this will be the button placket, and as you can see I incorporated the salvage edge to the actual button placket, and when it's all folded over and sewn down over here, you can't really see it, but it's not wasted. So I just got done with the front of the shirt, as you can see. So we have a little pocket here, a little front pocket, and then I have installed all of the buttons and the buttonholes as well. I've already sewn the collar together, as you can see, and I will now continue with working on this shirt. So since I've last updated you, I also attached the collar to the neck, and I also attached the sleeves, as you can see. The sleeves were a little bit difficult because sleeves are finicky and difficult. The shirt is almost finished. I only need to do the sides, hem the sleeves, and then hem the bottom as well. So I'm a pretty big fan of Kathy Hay, her videos, and I think her style is really cool and is really nice as well. And I also noticed in a lot of her videos that she was wearing this really chic neck scarf thing here, and that's what I decided to try to remake. So for this project I cut out two strips of fabric with the measurements 7 centimeters by the whole width of the fabric, so I think about like 150 centimeters or so. And for both of these strips I also cut a angle that makes it a little bit more elegant. So after sewing it together and leaving a little gap, you can cut off the corners next to the seam allowance. Also don't forget to keep those little cut off pieces because we're gonna use it later. Then you can flip the whole thing right side out and iron it flat. Now that you have pressed down your tie and the points are also nice and neat, you can sew together the spot that you left open using a blind stitch. So these are all the pieces that I just cut out to make the face mask. These are the two other fabrics and these are the two lining pieces. And now we will stitch this all together. The pattern that I used is by craftspassion.com, and you will also find the instructions on that website as well. And done. I'm sorry I didn't film much of me actually making this mask, but the tutorial will be listed down below in the description box if you want to check it out. So I just finished cutting out all of the pieces for my bookmark. So here are two longer rectangles and here is a smaller one. My rectangles are 42 centimeters long and 5 centimeters wide, and this one is also 5 centimeters wide, and this rectangle is long enough to fit a pencil or pen into, plus a little bit of seam allowance on the top and the bottom. So first and foremost I double folded the edge and hemmed it down so that it doesn't fray. This is for the little flap where your pencil will fit in. Now I've basted down the little pencil pocket onto one of the long rectangles so it stays in place in the next step. So I've just sewn the two rectangles right sides together, as you can see, and also the two elastic pieces are in between there as well. I also left a little gap here so I can turn it right side out, but before we do that we clip the corners here. Okay, so here is the strap right side out. Here you can see the little elastics sticking out, and here we have the little pocket piece for your pens, and then here we have one last little open end we will sew close. So I just turned the edges inside, and then I also pushed the other ends of the elastic inside of those tubes, pinned them down, and now I'm gonna sew these together. Voila! To finish it off I also sewed on the other end to make it more uniform, but then your bookmark is done. Okay, so for the keychain I cut out two rectangles of about 5 centimeters by 30 centimeters, and I'm also going to use a little keyring, as you can see. As you can also see on this piece, I also included again the salvage line, just it's not going to be visible, but I preserve it, no waste. So I just sewn these two rectangles together along the long sides over here and left the two sides here open, so I will now turn it right side out and iron it flat. Yesterday evening I finished off this key hanger here. Sorry I didn't film much of it, but it was really simple. I just sewed the pieces together into a loop around the keychain, and then I top stitched it down over here to secure the keychain in place. I also top stitched down here so that it looks nice and neat. Okay, let's make a scrunchie. So here we have a rectangle of fabric of 42 centimeters by 9 centimeters, and also I've got a little bit of elastic that I will sew into a loop. If you want to see the tutorial for this scrunchie, as well as how to make this pattern, I will list it down in the description box for you. So I have just sewn the elastic into a little loop, as you can see, and I also sewed the rectangle with right sides together. Now I'm gonna take this little safety pin and turn it right side out. Hooray! My scrunchie is done! Wait. I cannot even use a scrunchie. Wait. So I have just cut out the circle of fabric, and now I will, with a needle and thread, sew a loose stitch around it. Okay, so now the circle is all gathered up, as you can see, and now it's time to stuff it. One of the biggest tips that I can give you about preserving your fabric is using your little tiny scraps that you have cut off and to use this as stuffing. In my sewing journey I've made a lot of stuff that needed stuffing, and I actually never used like the wadding, but I always used fabric scraps. So I just finished stuffing this little ball of fabric with all of the fabric scraps. Just note, there is a lot of little fabric scraps that can fit into this little ball. This ball is about 8 centimeters in diameter. So let's sew this closed and then sew this onto the scrunchie. So I just sewn down the little ball onto the scrunchie, and as you can see, it really works. But what I do love about using this method of using the scrunchie as your wristband is this. I can pin my clips onto this, which is really handy. Using the same techniques as I just showed you, I also made a second little pin cushion to go around my sewing machine. So I just used some elastic instead of the scrunchie, so that way it's still removable and I can still move it around if I want to, but I don't lose my pins. And that's it. All of the projects are done. So of all of these 7 projects, I obviously love this shirt the most. I was really scared in the beginning because I thought it was going to look a little bit childish or maybe a little bit too busy with all the minions, but I really like it. It's really cute and it also shows off my interests. What I would do differently next time about this shirt is maybe measuring out the collar a little bit better. The collar has these points that should align with the button placket. And I will fix that in another project then. So I actually do still have some fabric left over from these projects. So actually this challenge failed a little bit. I had some ideas of turning this fabric into other projects, but I couldn't think of any projects that would actually be useful. But I have plans to use this fabric as the pocket lining for my winter coat that I'm going to make for next winter. So I'm still going to use this fabric. It's not wasted, but it's going in the fabric stash. Please comment down below what your favorite of these 7 projects are, and I hope this video inspires you to make some other stuff with your leftover fabrics instead of throwing them out. So see you in the next video. Bye!